Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jess and welcome. If not, welcome back. Thank you guys for tuning in today. I am so very excited because I finally got my hands on the new Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation. This component is so cool. It's like a cigarette box almost, and like a satin kind of soft matte texture. Really nice. This packaging is beautiful. It is a glass bottle, very like simple but very Pat McGrath. I love it. I'm just gonna read you what it says on the Pat McGrath website. It says, Mother's instantly iconic foundation builds weightlessly from a sheer veil to flawless medium coverage and 36 universal color choices, 36 shades. That's pretty good. And 5 shade levels custom curated for all skin types, tones, and undertones. The second step in Mother's Sublime Perfection delivers a customizable couture finish that brings the runway to real life in a few powerful drops. Silky and luxurious, it feels creamy to the touch and delivers controlled, easily buildable coverage, self-setting, post-perfecting, and long-wearing. Its sublime satin finish lasts all day. And it says Sublime Technology. It says this nourishing formulation is crafted with a Vita Serum complex designed to help fight the formation of wrinkles by preserving the hydrolipidic film barrier of the skin. This complex boosts hydration by activating the natural production of hyaluronic acid and ceramides. Diamond Core Power Technology improves skin texture by optically smoothing and blurring the appearance of fine lines and imperfections. An illuminating soft focus pigment blended into the formula converts and scatters light, emulating the effect of healthy, youthful complexion, formulated without parabens, talc, or fragrance. And it's oil-free. Sorry, I'm holding my phone so close to my face. I'm not wearing my glasses, so bear with me. When I first ordered the shade, I got it in shade 14, which is way too dark for me. But I went into the Sephora store and purchased shade 12, which is light medium. I don't know. When she shade matched me, it felt a little bit too dark still, but it had kind of like a more neutrally pink undertone. So we'll see. And it does say that it is a serum complex, so I have a feeling it's going to be really liquidy. I'm going to test it out for you here. So you can see that the consistency is pretty liquidy. For some reason I was thinking it was going to be kind of thick, and it does look maybe a little dark. We'll see. But I'm going to apply half with a sponge and half with a brush. I have a feeling that because of the formula and how kind of thin it is, it'll apply better with a brush. The sponge will probably soak it all up. But let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I've zoomed you guys in a little bit closer just so you guys can see me apply it a little bit better. So I do have one pump on the back of my hand. So on the right side, I will use the sponge, and on the left side, I will use a brush. And the sponge I'm going to use today is the Sonia Kashuk sponge from Target. I love this thing, and they are much cheaper than the Beauty Blender. So that was one pump, and I only got this part of my face, and you can still see I have all of my pimples and scarring are still very visible. So I'm going to go in with another pump. So as far as the color match goes, I feel like it's an okay match to my neck. It might be a tad too dark, but I'll get darker over the summer, so hopefully it'll match me a little bit better. I'm just looking over here because this is where my mirror is, but you can still see that I have quite a bit of imperfections still showing, and I did add another layer just around the cheek area with the sponge. So I'm not a fan of applying it with a sponge. I definitely feel like the sponge soaked up a lot of the product. So for the left side, I'm going to go in with my Real Techniques foundation brush. I just got this at Ulta, and I like the way it works so far. So I'm going to take another pump and start on the left side. So as you can see, this was just one pump, and this one you can barely see my pimples there, my imperfections, my scarring mostly is covered up. And this side you can still see quite a bit through. So for one pump I was able to do this side of my face with the brush, and then on the right side I needed 2 pumps to use the sponge. So I would definitely say this is not a cheap foundation at $68 for 1.1 fluid ounces, which I didn't mention before, but it is 1.1 fluid ounces, so just slightly more than the average foundation, and $68. So it is not cheap. And I used a total of 3 pumps, 2 on the right side with the sponge and then 1 on the left side with the brush. So I would say to use the brush. Now I do prefer the finish of the sponge just a little bit more, just because it is a little bit more glowy. So what I would probably do is go in with the brush to kind of buff everything out and then go over with the sponge. So I'm gonna put a little bit more on the brush to see if I can get a little bit more coverage on the cheek area on the right side. Alright, so that is it applied evenly. I just added just a little bit right here to kind of help cover up those scarring and pimples, but I'm probably going to have to use concealer or just leave it there just because it is that time of the month, so my face is just a mess. But so that is the finished face there using both the brush and the sponge. Like I said, I do prefer the finish of the sponge, but I'll most likely use the brush and then the sponge on top. I did place the order for the set that comes with like the primer and the powder. Not sure when that will come out to me, but once I get that in, I'll do another video where I test the longevity with both the foundation and the powder. But for now, I'm going to finish off the rest of my face and I will be right back. Alright, so here is the finished look. I just used my Hourglass translucent setting powder, and then for blush, bronzer, and highlight I used the NARS Orgasm palette, and then for my eyes I just used the bronzer and the highlighter from this palette, and then on my lips I used the new Charlotte Tilbury Hot Lips in the shade Glowing Gen. A little too pink for me, but I can get used to it. But overall, in regards to the Pat McGrath foundation, I will say that I feel like the shade is a little bit off for me. I don't know if you can see the difference. It's not too far off. The shade 14 would have been way too dark, but I feel like shade 10, which would be like the next pinky kind of neutral undertone, would be too light. And then shade 11 is too yellow based for me. So I'm hoping that, this shade kind of grows on me. It doesn't look too bad on camera, but I feel like in person something just looks off. But I will say that I do like the finish of it. I want to test the longevity of it, but I will wait to do that in the video when I get the powder and the primer in. But overall, I really like it. Again, I will say that it is medium coverage just because you can still see a lot of my imperfections. I didn't add any concealer over it just so it can kind of poke through so you guys could see there, but I like it. Not my favorite foundation, but I do like it. So I will continue to try it between now and the time that I get the powder so I can get a really good feel for it, and then also do another video again when everything else comes in. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys.